lines. But just before we get into that, if you're loving what I'm wearing and what all the other ladies are wearing, it is by Dahlia. For elegant pieces like this, please follow her on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as Dahlia Official, the only Dahlia Official. Or you can call the number displayed on your screen and place your order. Dahlia is truly bringing out the best in us this morning. Thank you so much. And to know, Ghana works better when we all play our parts. So pay your TV license today by dialing *447 *333 hash, *447 *333 hash. Also, the time is now. Play Rand Lottery, the trusted lottery that gives you more chances to win big every single day. It's affordable, transparent, and rewarding. Rand Lottery puts you first. Now, here's the best part. With 3 daily draws, you never miss a chance. Start your morning with exciting morning draws. Keep the 3 alive at noon with the Star Midday Games and close the day in style with the Anaju Star Draws. That's 3 opportunities every day from Monday to Sunday to turn your dreams into reality. So don't wait, whether it's building that new home, supporting your family, or chasing your personal goals, Rand Lottery is the best lottery to stake. Join thousands of winners across the country and make your dream a reality. Now, Monday opportunities to stake include Bingo 04, Star Monday, and Monday Anaju Star. Also, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, is reminding members and the public that they no longer need to visit any of its branches to access services. With the introduction of SSNIT's virtual branch, members can conveniently access services remotely, anytime and from anywhere using the SSNIT app, USSD *711*9 hash, or SSNIT portal snit.org.gh. Services available include member registration, benefits processing, update of personal records, and general inquiries. And for seamless access to SSNIT 24-hour virtual services, kindly call SSNIT at 0302 611 622 to interact with the team. SSNIT always delivers on its promise. Again, if you're looking to expand your business horizons while enjoying a world-class travel experience, here's something to note. The Vanuatu Business and Pleasure Tour 2026 is bringing together business leaders, investors, and professionals for a unique blend of strategic engagement and leisure. Participants will take part in business forums, networking sessions, and investment discussions, while also experiencing Vanuatu's rich culture, scenic islands, and tourism attractions. It is business with purpose and pleasure. Registration is currently open for the Vanuatu Business and Pleasure Tour 2026. Now, think business, think leisure, think Vanuatu. To register, call the Vanuatu Trade Commission Ghana on 0240 229 282 or 0544 626 905. Note, registration is on first come, first served basis. How do you start your day? If you haven't had your cup of Mixi Choco, you are truly missing out. The rich new taste of Mixi Choco is crafted to brighten your mornings and keep you refreshed all day long. Everything you need is right in there. Just add hot water, stir, and enjoy a warm, comforting cup. Now for the coffee lovers, Mixi has something special for you too. Mixi Coffee delivers a creamy, smooth coffee experience that keeps you energized for your everyday hustle. Just one sip and you are good to go. And guess what? There's more. Introducing the new delicious Mixi Strawberry, a sweet, exciting addition and one more reason to love Mixi. Start your day the right way. Start it with Mixi. Mixi, chano hot and kasa. Yeah, so that's it. Felix van der Palen is ready with his guest to delve into some of the various stories or headlines topic making rounds this morning. So stay and get interactive with us as well.
And this even brings to mind that one of our topics this morning has to do with something that is connected or linked with the World Cup. So we'll look at all of that. But good morning to you. Great to have you back at the Sanla. If you look at our table here, it's well decorated with Islamic decor items. And it's brought to you by courtesy of Wumpini Decor. And you can find them on all social media platforms. So you're welcome back at the Sanla once again. It's our lively headline segment where we unpack the big stories shaping Ghana right now. And today we've got three hot ones. The alleged assault on world-famous artist Ibrahim Mahama in Tamale sparking police probes. And also Burkina Faso's fresh tomato export ban hitting our markets. Time to talk local farming, perhaps. And President Mahama drawing the line. No public cash for Black Stars fans heading to the 2026 World Cup. I told you that. Question is, prudent or party pooper? We'll find out. Grab your baka, the Sanla holiday tea, and let's dive in with our special guests. With me in the studio, I have Oscar P., Oscar Provençal, actor, on my immediate left. Happy holiday to you, Oscar.
I wish you the same. And to all the viewers out there, Baraka da Sallah.
Yeah. And also I have Tanko Musa in the middle there. I would like to wish you Baraka Dahutu.
Barka Kade. That's how we say.
Yes.
Well,
I haven't heard that one. What does that mean?
Well, it's a way of wishing happy holiday.
Okay.
Yes.
Barka Kade. And
Normally it's Baraka da Sallah.
speaking from Oscar, I think I would also want to, wish all Muslims all over the world Baraka da Sallah. Of course, we thank God for the grace, mercy He bestowed on us. We started the Ramadan. Actually, some people couldn't even start the Ramadan with us. We started with others, but they couldn't end it with us. But by His grace and mercy, we were able to go through the 30 days of fasting. And of course, it is appropriate that we celebrate, and we celebrated in moderation. Although I have a mixed feeling about the celebration, because with heavy hearts, the announcement of the death of a remarkable soul, Alajini Adam Korti, who is the head of the Gbawi Kwate family. And that man has graced us with over a century of wisdom and benevolence. If you talk about a life that is testament to selfless service, that transcends all boundaries, all faiths. He is a Muslim. He reverted to Islam somewhere around 1950-something. But since then, he had championed the well-being and welfare of everybody, irrespective of your faith. He has provided land to churches, the mosques, and everybody. And today, inshallah, in accordance with Islamic tradition, we will lay him to rest at exactly 2 p.m. at the Gbawi Palace, to allow everybody who knew him to come and pay their last respect.
My condolences.
We pray to Allah to grant him Jannatul Firdaus and strengthen his family and everybody else.
This indeed brings a mixed feeling within the celebration and all of that.
Yeah.
Our condolences. And also, before that, of course, Tanko is a legal practitioner and a lecturer at UNIMAC. On the other side, I also have Prince Ntiama Wampon, entrepreneur, has a lot of business ideas and a very wealthy man, according to Oscar.
Oscar is my personal.
So happy holiday.
I want to wish our viewers a happy holiday. It's been a long weekend. Some took the opportunity to take some local tours and all that. I mean, it's been wonderful, listening to some of them on radio. The packages they had for the holidays. It's been good. I went for live walk with ICGC, and it was very fun. Seeing a lot of people doing some 12 kilometers or something. Yeah. about that, but I mean, it was good. So, I mean, we really had fun over the weekend. Yeah.
I'm Kweku van der Palen. Dear Felix, you're welcome once again. And I'll begin with this story on IGP ordering probe into alleged assault on artist Ibrahim Mahama. Actually, the Ghana Police Service has launched investigations into the alleged assault of this internationally acclaimed visual artist, Ibrahim Mahama, in Tamale. And the allegations has to do with Black Maria, you know, a section of the police that was supposed to be out of Tamale in the north after they had an operation. But this incident happened there, and the allegations are pointing to the fact that this group of policemen assaulted this man. But I'll begin with you, Oscar. I'm sure you've heard about this story. And what thoughts came to mind? What's your first thought when you heard about this assault on this man?
Well, I think it's rather unfortunate. We don't know the entire circumstances, but that does not justify assault on anyone, especially if it's from the police. I believe the police have the right to use force when it comes to the arrest, but not excessive force. So once it's under investigation, there's very little one can say at this juncture. But then again, the police should be very mindful if this incident was something that took place with the police. I think they've been doing a good job so far, a relatively good job so far, and it's a pity that, you know, it's all going to be marred with incidents like this.
But they are dismissing the whole idea that they had nothing to do.
Well, if that's what they're saying, once again, it's about investigations and what we get out of it. If it's about what we hear on social media and so forth, you know what social media is. But I hope it has nothing to do with the name.
As in
Ibrahim, as in Mahama. And, you know...
Why that?
Why that? Because the president is called President Mahama.
I think that whoever did that has
he
something
may not
to
be
do with
related to President Mahama. And I'm just, as usual, playing the devil's advocate here, in that we do not have a situation where people seem to be want to take out whatever they want to take out on because the economy may not be going in their favor or whatever it is, that anybody associated with the name may be a target. We wouldn't want to hear that. Not at all. It's something that we definitely do not want to hear, and it wouldn't bode well for our country if it went in that tangent. And so we call on the citizens, whoever out there, not to embark on any assault on anybody just because the person is called Mahama. It's not everybody who is related to the president. And I hope this too will not be politicized. We'll have an independent investigation into it. And mind you, as a renowned artist that he is, one of the major things that he delves in is aeroplanes. Used aeroplanes. He has a whole array of aeroplanes. And so, playing the devil's advocate once again, when we all hear that, you know, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama is into buying private jets and things like that, and he's also linked, I'm stretching my imagination, to having aeroplanes as an artistic form. You never know what is in the minds of anybody perpetrating.
I mean, when the whole incident happened, there are people who sort of got a bit alarmed when they heard the name and so they got the details.
Obviously,
what we're talking about. Let me bring.
And it looks like a fairly vicious attack. I mean, if you look at the pictures.
Yeah, he lost. I think his two front.
That's a fairly violent affair.
But I'll bring Tanko in. Tanko, this is somebody who's paying his dues in the industry as long as visual arts is concerned. His name travels a bit far. do you find his account more, believable than the police denial, as it were?
Well, I would, in the spirit of coming out of Ramadan, I would be an angel's advocate instead of the devil's advocate.
Very important. Very, very important.
That was below the belt.
No, but that's just by the way. But no, I don't. Of course, the investigations is going on, and it's important that the investigation should be conducted. But I don't want to believe that it has anything to do with the name. Muhammad is one of the common names in Islam. It's Muhammad. And, it's one of the very common names. So I don't think that is the case at all. I think what is important is that the police have actually launched a two-pronged, if you like, investigation. Mm-hmm. The Police Professional Standards Bureau would be investigating. Remember, they are the ones that look into misconduct of police officers.
Professional standards.
Professional standards. So they will be looking at that. And of course, this happened in the Northern Region. So the Northern Regional Police Command is also doing a criminal investigation because, as Oscar said, assault is assault. Irrespective of who perpetuated the assault, it's a criminal offense. Of course, when security agencies are conducting their work and they are faced with harm, they are allowed, like any of us, to use reasonable force to defend themselves. But
now, the police are carrying out an investigation, I said, two sides.
Yeah.
But they've, in advance, dismissed the case. What does that mean to the investigation?
Well, they have given their side of the story based on facts are sacred. I mean, so they said, because, yes, I mean, on the face of it, and you look at social media, they said the, what do you call, the squad that was in the Northern
Maria?
The Black Maria were the ones who were accused of what happened. But we are aware that the Black Maria were withdrawn from the Northern region recently. So it then becomes a little bit of a dichotomy as to how did they then stay in Tamale to conduct that. So you would understand why the police would come to, and in terms of public relations, it's very important for them to come at least and set the basic facts right. But of course, their denial would not end there. That is why the investigations is being conducted. For me, what I would say is that the investigation should be transparent and open so that nobody is shielded. But in terms of what you said, whether what he said is believable or not, as a lawyer, sometimes we don't jump into believing what people say. There is a maxim in law or a theory called, reps ista locutor. The story speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. You saw him there, you saw the blooded face and all those things. But that is what we have seen.
Yeah, so that's the letter, that's the police investigation reports there. Mm-hmm. Police
it's about the statement about what they are going to do, which I just alluded to. But what I'm saying is that we've seen him, he's demonstrated that he's lost his tooth with blood, all those things. So those facts are clear. But as to who did that, what led to that, we cannot jump into conclusion at this stage.
The investigation
what we have to ask is that the investigation should be done devoid of any, favoritism.
Bias.
It should be biased. It should be independent. And after that, the report should be made public and the appropriate sanctions should be meted out. But what I want to say is that it matters not who you are in the course of your work. Violence is not acceptable in any shape or form in executing your service. And if you are faced with any harm, you are allowed to use force to defend yourself, but it has to be proportionate with the harm you face and all this. But the investigations would unravel that, and then I'm sure we'll come back here and look into that after the investigation.
Okay. Prince, this guy has some international weight.
Yeah, so
Does that,
I'm looking at the country branding that will go with it. So, and when people are exposed, like the way he's exposed, going for global art events and all that, they seem to have a bit of understanding of their rights. So sometimes when they are confronted by police in certain instances, we don't know the full facts, but they seem to press upon some of their rights in terms of even if there is an arrest, they would like to find out more. They want to know the issues, And our police service over time, I mean,
they can't take
from the bit of things I've had with them, if you seem to ask a bit of a question, you become
challenging them.
Yes, it becomes like a challenge to them, and they don't find it.
But
very
what is
funny.
wrong with challenging to see
sometimes
the legality and authenticity?
You just want to understand even the whole situation, and they find it that you are just maybe too known in quotes or something, and it's very worrying, especially policing in those who are even removed from the capitals and all those things. So, to me, let's go through it because it's an international thing,
Okay.
But the guy is having a country branding, and let's look at it very well because it goes very far.
All right. I want us to listen to what the guy said again right now. So let's have that.
I'm going to take a shower. Hi, Francesca. I hope you're well. I'm sorry I might not be able to travel. I was really assaulted by the police today. You can see how they broke my tooth. And then my mouth is even bleeding. My ribs are all hurting. So Khadija brought me home. I'm going to take a shower and I'm probably head to the hospital. So, yeah, if you don't hear from me, this is it. Hi, Francesca. I hope you're well. I'm sorry I might not be able to travel.
Now, there's a part, the end of it, he said, if you don't hear from me, I got a bit petrified. What did he mean? That was he going to lose his life?
Well, I mean,
it's not something to laugh about.
If you obviously look at the training of security forces, though the police are trained to also protect and preserve, they also have combat abilities. They know where to hit you, where
and it shows.
Where you may get internal bleeding, nobody will see anything. The security forces are trained to do all those kind of things. You will be given hefty slaps that may jar your internal organs or on your head, which may give you internal bleeding. And so, when you go through that kind of trauma, the first thing you should go is to the hospital and go and make sure that you don't have internal bleeding and so forth. So, coming from that,
this alleged group, they are a special group. So if it's the alleged one,
have you seen and heard
serious
a slap from a military person before? Have you felt their palms before? They are not my palms, soft like this. So
they've been
they're
trained
hard as rock. When they whack you
to make you sit up.
Sit up, you won't even see one star, a million of stars.
But
it's a serious,
it's not funny.
No. We don't know the kind of assault that took place, whether it was kicked, where it was. And we've seen this in the U.S., where police have assaulted citizens, and the citizens have died out of the assault, from chokeholds and all kinds of things. And so this brings us back to the orientation of our police or our service people in relation to the citizens and how, they interact with us and deal with us. And I agree with my brother who also recently had an incident. That's why he was referring to the issues. Yes, we've all had incidents where if you try and challenge a policeman, they will go into a defensive mode, and more than likely, you will not get out of it. So I think there has to be more of an orientation.
Absolutely, a balance.
Yeah, and I'll go back to the days of Inspector Bediako, because that was precisely what we tried to do, was to give a new face and a new image to policing and to encourage them. And at that time, if you remember, there was an all-time low between the security forces. We just come from the military, so, the military and the police.
Some clashes?
They were not very respected in society. And so, that
have to do with reputation and all.
That evolution is still going on. And I think that more work has to be done in terms of reorienting the mindset. When you go to the US and they want to say, they'll still say, sir, excuse me, sir, can I see your driving license? In Ghana, hey, my friend, real license.
That's when authority has to be stamped.
So it's a different style of policing, and we need to move away from the force to a service, which is now what they are. They are not the police force. They are a police service.
So you are giving a message that you are there for the citizenry too.
Exactly.
To protect
so there has to be a different way of policing.
Want to engage them. The angle they picked, that if somebody asks a question, it means that they don't know their job or something. It's a bit worrying, you understand? Because
it's a problem, and to be fair, I don't want us to situate that only with the police service. But it's a problem in our institutions generally. You go to the hospital, you go and sit before a medical doctor, and he's there talking and talking and talking, and you ask him a question to just get some clarity, and it looks as if you're talking nonsense. Who the hell are you? I have been to a medical doctor. He sat there and was just trying to prescribe, and I was wondering, how did you come to that conclusion? And he went livid. So and it happens almost all the place. You can meet a lawyer, he's there, you're having a conference, he's going to... So it's something that we really need to appreciate, that when you are rendering a service, and that's why, as Oscar said, they moved from a force, and a whole act was passed to move them from a force to a service for a particular purpose, for you to recognize the fact that you are rendering a service. And when you are rendering a service, the people have to have an experience worth...
And the right to ask questions.
You understand? But this is where I think that we need to look at this holistically. But for the police especially, because they need the public to support them to do what they're doing. And I think that the orientation has to continue.
No, I'll stay on you with this one. If police wrongdoing is confirmed, what would you prescribe in terms of punishment, reforms?
Well, they have a number of... You see, this is not the first time this has happened. I have had the opportunity of actually representing some police officers, making representation to them before these professional bodies. When they go before them, it's terrible for them. The police don't want to be referred to PIPs because they really make sure that if you are culpable, they will deal with you. You could be dismissed. You could be reduced in rank and all those things. They could also make sure that criminal, charges are brought against you. These things are done all the time. It's just that we don't give it that oxygen because sometimes you have to be very careful how you put these things out there to avoid demoralizing the very people who you need to defend yourself. But I think we need to find a fine balance where we need to be demonstrating to the general public that when you hear of these incidents, we don't condone that, and we take action. Okay. And these are the actions that we have taken against these people to serve as a deterrent to those who are contemplating doing same, and for the public to also feel more comfortable to come forward and report some of these things, because sometimes the public are reluctant to come out and report these things because they think at the end of the day,
and it's not just allegations of police assaulting citizens. Alongside this, over the weekend, something also happened around Obichebi, where a policeman was assaulted by some citizens. So it looks like it's not just a one-sided thing. We have to look at it both sides. Prince.
No, but the point is that in a society, no matter how you want to measure conformity, people will always want to go above what is the prescribed norm for both police and the people. What we are saying here is that there should be a middle line where a policeman will know his boundary as to dealing with the people, and the people also will know their boundaries dealing with the police, because it will also not be fair if we think that every confrontation between a police and a citizen is the fault of a police person. It will not be a fair argument, because we have people who also are very rude, disrespectful, all those things packed together against the police people who are there to also enforce the law. And anytime you are put to guard the gate, every thief becomes an enemy to you. So they are in a position of
it's not a beautiful position you want to be, but their work demands that they get there. So sometimes their excesses comes out of some of them, even their frustration. Don't forget they are working in an environment where even logistics to work with it's a bit of a challenge. There are so many things around them, perception, everything boxed together for one person to carry in discharge of his duties. So we should look at all the sides. If we have the professional body that scrutinizes them, what about the citizens who also do, as we were saying, against them? Where do we take them? How do we come to conclusions in regards to those states?
The citizens, once they are identified, they would be dealt with according to the law. Like what you said at Udbechebi, it's unacceptable. It doesn't matter what the police officer has done, but you have to follow due process.
But talking about identification and then penalizing them, there's this thought that it looks like the police are, whether to use the word, afraid of some folks in the society because they act with impunity. And I've seen something happen where it looks like a group in a convoy were going somewhere and they were supposed to go by the traffic, rules. The policemen, about 5 of them stood there, and the guys were just passing with some on motorbikes. I was wondering who they were. I don't know, but it showed clearly that these were guys violating the laws, and policemen were there.
Policing has some strategic, outlook. When you are a single police officer, or maybe 2 of you, manning a place, and you see a group of people who are doing what you claim they're doing, you have to act with some common sense. Yes, you are a police officer as well. Yourself. It's first and foremost, you don't have to put yourself in harm's way. That's why, of course, they would have to communicate and get a reinforcement to make sure that people are adhering to the rules and regulations. But you don't expect the police officer to go head on and confront those guys. At that stage, some of them might be under influence of drug, alcohol, and all those things, and it could escalate. They might be having weapons. Your responsibility is to try and mitigate the situation. But what I'm saying is that whatever it is, the people cannot get away with that. The fact that you don't see the police effecting the arrest immediately doesn't mean that should be the end of the matter.
In this case, what I saw didn't look like something that would go anywhere. They were just looked on helpless.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that they look at them helpless at that stage, yes. But what I'm saying is that proper policing means that, you see, it's a continuum. They can actually follow up. Remember, I don't know whether you have had those instances. You could have an encounter with a police officer here, and you think you have evaded him. By the time you get to the next stage, he probably may have radioed the other people there. So there are ways. What we may see may be different. And I like the fact that you said that a group of people. What usually happens is that we shouldn't create this impression that there are some group of people who are untouchable. No, it is not in a democratic
I don't know who. That's what I said, a group.
No,
I don't even know who they are.
No matter who they are, we are all supposed to subject ourselves to the rules and regulations of this country. Right. That's what makes us civilized. Otherwise, we would be living like people in the jungle.
Okay, for the sake of time, there are equally, more important points I want us to move on. The next one has to do with the government moving in to resolve the Burkina Faso tomato export ban, through talks. And I want us to look at that. So the government of Ghana has announced plans to engage authorities
drink water.
In Burkina Faso following a directive suspending the export of fresh tomatoes from that country. Why shouldn't I?
It's a week. He says I should drink water.
Why?
Why would I drink
because of his advocacy.
Because of
the advocacy. He doesn't want you to go into the.
Feel ashamed as a Ghanaian. Don't you feel ashamed?
You're shooting straight away.
No, don't you feel ashamed as a Ghanaian?
He's coming to shoot.
That we have to go and do talks over tomato after how many years of independence? I mean, it's the most disgraceful thing that I've heard in my entire life. Kwame Nkrumah should be, in fact, tossing in his grave.
Well, it is happening, so what is the way forward? I mean,
No. The way forward is for Ghanaians to wake up. It's as simple as that. It's nothing to do with talks with Burkina. With all our arable land, with all our the largest man-made lake in the world.
But in the meantime, the need exists. It's staring in our faces. So
the need exists for you to have tomato.
How is that?
Operation Feed Yourself. Even. When was that? Under whom? Yet Ghanaians today are using cement to concrete all their houses and everywhere and tiling, and they don't even have an area where they can do Operation Feed Yourself in their houses. Why are we sitting here and we want to glorify or pacify our position as a nation that common tomato, we are going to go and...
But I'm not here to glorify anything, Oscar.
I know you're not. I'm not speaking specifically to you. But it's shameful. So let's rectify this abnormality.
Yeah, I know it hurts. I know how you feel.
No, but why won't it hurt? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're complete laughing stock to the world. Complete laughing stock. Look, yes, we may like Burkina tomatoes because they are steadier, they don't have so much water content, they last longer, than Ghanaian tomatoes, which tend to, have more water and more, and probably spoil much faster. We know about those things.
But Oscar, all is not lost. There is Feed Ghana, there is Feed the Industry. These are initiatives that...
Is this new to you?
But
what happens we had over the past 20 years?
You can always revisit some of these projects.
There has always been an agricultural policy and programs in this country. To what effect?
Tango, let me seek your view on this. This is what
it is disgraceful.
This is what Burkina Faso is doing, and you see, they intend to also protect theirs. Their local production and all of that.
From a desert area.
Is it fair? Is it selfishness?
With your permission, I read something. I followed up an interview on radio recently, granted by the managing director of the irrigation company in the Upper East region or so. He says that, Navrongo was once widely known for high-quality tomato that was attracting traders from across the region. But something happened, right? The decline was due to market challenges because traders shifted to Burkina Faso, because after the farmers were able to farm and get tomato in large quantities, there was supposed to be some tomato factory to absorb these things so that they could go. It didn't happen. So eventually all the tomatoes they harvested and all those things went west. And it really got a lot of tomato farmers into some sort of difficulty and all those things. So it discouraged them from continuing to go into tomato farming and all that. But he said in that interview that we have the capacity, as Oscar said, to be able to feed or provide our needs here and even export, because previously people were coming from Burkina Faso to Navrongo to come and buy tomatoes.
Oscar said it's a shame. So what is the real issue here?
The real issue is about the willingness, and then I think that we need to stop the sloganeering and be more practical. And I think we have talked about the priorities here several times. Let's really invest where it matters most, and stop really putting investment in places where, it brings about very fanciful dividends. I mean, farming is a thing that we really need to encourage. And as Oscar said, we have heard about the planting for food, feed yourselves. And all. We need to really go beyond those slogans and put in place strong and effective and, concrete mechanisms for the farmers to be able to do that. Because, like Oscar said, Burkina Faso, Ghana, we like to, see ourselves as the big boys of the sub-region. And yet, this is the reality that is facing us in the face. But of course, as you were, suggesting to Oscar, we are faced with this challenge now. And if we don't get this reversed, it's going to cause a lot of difficulty. So it is appropriate that some intervention would be done for us to be able to, if you like, stabilize the situation while we are thinking about what we could do. Because whatever we implement or we initiate is going to be a long-term thing. Yeah. But immediately,
so the stabilization will have to do with the talks.
With the talks and all those things.
Prince, when I mentioned Feed Ghana, Feed the Industry, it sounded like, hey, this has been here for a long while. It's as if we're giving up on it. Is that we're giving up on these initiatives because they've been here with us?
No, governments having initiatives is not something new for us. And if we put in context that imports is always bad, it might not be a correct assessment. We could have some competitive advantage, what we do best and what other people can do best. But in this case, we have all the resources available for that activity to happen, and in fact to create jobs. So it will not be expedient for us to sit down and let this be produced by a neighboring country. And don't forget that when it comes to food, like oxygen that we are breathing, it has a security implication. If somebody can hold on to your food, he can cause a bit of a challenge in your country. So when you have a competitive advantage to also be in the same space to compete, governments should have pragmatic solutions built around the need, because it's a need, and all year round we need tomatoes. You understand? It's not a rocket science, and we are taking decisions like flying people to go and watch football matches abroad.
We'll come to that
and all that.
In fact, that's my next.
And amazingly, we have these things staring us, and we have all these monies. We have done them over time. That we could have used them for irrigation projects and all that. And we have not supported the local industry. Mind you, that producing something like tomatoes, you can easily build factories to can them and make them a long-term product. You understand? So I don't see the need that we should get to this point where we should be begging our neighbors to give us food.
But you know that when the inauguration, the swearing was being done by His Excellency President Mahama,
yes,
Tuari was here. He walked up the podium. Afterwards, they had their time privately and everything. So somebody says that, he should have considered.
When it comes to food, and policies, people always want to do something.
But he's the head of the country,
people always would do policies to move their countries forward, irrespective of what is happening in your country. So that one is
okay. So
it has nothing to do with that.
Okay, that's fine.
He's in a Sahel region. He didn't start it. Sankara did. He's in a Sahel region, virtually bordered by the desert. They're doing irrigation and they are producing tomatoes 24/7 throughout the year. Ghana, we sit here with the largest man-made lake in the world, and we sit here and we rely on the rain and have seasonal tomatoes. Does it make sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Plus, then you have to deal with the tomato importers mafia. You think they are going to let go of their tin tomatoes and so forth and try and change your taste buds away from tomatoes? That's what they've done. And they are succeeding in it. Yes, but it should never be. We have no excuse whatsoever. Nkrumah built 2 tomato factories. You built 2 tomato factories. What have we done? We've destroyed everything. We've sold all those factories, destroyed it, put the nail in the coffin. Today we are sitting here. He had 300 industries, 300 factories. We sold all of them, and we are sitting here. You want to go and blame who? Burkina? Please, let's be frank with ourselves and stop trying to, come and. The fault lies within us.
To a large extent, I appreciate
and our leadership.
I appreciate this kind of thing because they say pressure makes diamond harder than stone. Don Williams sang a song like that. So it reminds us of what we have, where we are, and what we have to do. But whether we like it or not, this is where we are.
Food is hungry.
I'll bring you in again, Tanko. If talks should fail, what are we supposed to do? What would you suggest if these talks?
Well, while the talk is going
stockpile or what? Look for another source.
While the talk is going on, we need to still start looking at the plan B because, like you said, the talk can fail, and we don't wait until it fails before we start thinking about a plan B. I know that there had been advanced, talks with the Burkinabe side, but remember, in negotiations, you have to make an offer and you make concessions, and there are certain things that Burkina Faso is also deriving from us. So we would have to, trigger all our negotiation skills and make sure that we're getting something out of this because they're also getting something. But there would always be a trade-off. I don't see this failing.
We have much say there in trying to negotiate that way.
Well, in negotiation, you need to look at your strength and your weaknesses. We are weak when it comes to the tomato, negotiation because they will the power there. But like I'm saying, that there is something we have that we can also go to the negotiation table and say, well, if you are looking at policy, you're saying that this is in the interest of Burkina Faso, so you're not going to do it. There may be other things that we can also say we are withdrawing from you, and that may have repercussions, and that would make them sit there and all those. Well, but that's what it is. You can't just throw your hands in despair and allow them to prioritize their national interest whilst you don't want to do that. So we need to look at what we can also
where you're strong in.
Exactly.
They've been spilling the
tomato exporters, the president for the tomato exporters, and he was talking about they also source from other countries that can come and augment the short-term from Benin, Togo, and even Nigeria. They get some from there as well. So they might be concentrating on those areas. And the Burkina Faso one was because of the transportation was a bit good for those who import to Kumasi and Sudan area, the proximity. So, I mean, they can get other sources on the interim to augment the market's need. But as all of us are saying, as a country with all these arable lands and the many years of governance, priorities is what is worrying our country.
Yeah.
Where do we sit the conversation? What are the most important pressing needs of the people? Where do we put the money? Every government who comes in and is able to answer this question very well, we will have some of this conversation. We will never sit here and have some of these conversations.
You see, I don't think that the political actors don't know what we need to do to get out of this crisis. We all know, they know very well.
It's the will.
It's the will, and that's why sometimes, but the problem is, like Oscar said, we all have to take the blame sometimes, because in their mind, they know this is what they have to do to, speed things up. So they come out with policies. But then somewhere along the line, either inertia, incompetence, corruption sets in, and nothing gets done. And we don't pursue that. Because this whole idea of one district, one factory, one dam, one factory, and all those, they are all part of, policy directives that could have actually started reversing some of these things. But what did we see? Came out with this very, very, very good idea, and then it fizzled out, and we all just went to sleep. So I'm saying that we really, really need to prioritize and make sure that we are holding those we have given the mandate to lead, to be doing what
well made. Oscar, I know you are intolerant when it comes to some of these things.
Why should you tolerate
Yes, but still, like I'm saying, this is the reality. This is where we are. So we can't just sit down and say, we look into ourselves, our fault, and then we watch our people die. We need food. So where is this going? Could it push this agenda where, regional trade rules are just in such a way that it will, prevent future bans? Because these things...
Don't forget that the people, they are not in any organization again. Our ECOWAS is not applying to them now. So if you are talking to somebody who is not in a community where it's guided by rules, their conversation is different.
But generally, it may not be... It may be...
But they are part of the African Union.
Oscar, quickly, then we move to our next...
We are no different from the global trade order, and that's obvious. I mean, we all have our strengths and our competitive advantages here and there, and normally it's a trade-off here and there in terms of, the inflows and the outflows of goods and services. So in a situation like this, I mean, countries have gone to war because of these inequalities, not probably over tomatoes, no. But I think that we should go back. I mean, for me, you are going to get more of this coming up if African countries don't get the leadership that they deserve to move this continent to the next level and transform our countries.
Okay.
Agriculture is the basic base for all countries.
It's fundamental.
It's fundamental. Even if you look at tomatoes, tell me which dish does not have tomatoes in the world? 99% of dishes have tomato. Tomato is an essential component. If you want to take us and move us from the natural to the unnatural, and be doing these tomato paste. Have you seen them making the tomato paste in China? They stir some powder things in there, and you don't even know what you are eating. That is called tomato paste. So we are sitting here, and they see us as a market for it, and they'll be happy. They'll be happy to shut down our tomato, and you'll see the influx that is going to come.
Okay. So
now the question is, will you be able to change the taste of Ghanaians within that space?
You seem to be on the same page, so for the sake of time, we'll move on to the next topic. This one has to do with getting the right leadership, having the will to take the right decisions.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So let's move on to our next topic, which has to do with the World Cup and the desire to move fans or people to go out there and cheer our team. But the president says no public funds for World Cup fans, and it had a lot to do with some of the things you were bringing up. He says President Mahama has ruled out the use of public funds to sponsor Ghanaian supporters to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, citing the high financial burden such an undertaking would place on the state. I'm sure that you agree.
Well, obviously, I mean, I think that it's a move in the right direction, despite the fact that we need the supporters to go out there and to, I think it has been abused over the years. So the question is, as a fan, if you want to go, why don't you have your own money to go and watch the games? Why does government have to pay? But you will also get somebody saying, okay, so why does government have to pay for people to go to Hajj? And
government doesn't pay for people to go to
they
Hajj.
don't?
No.
They don't?
People fund their own.
They fund their own way?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a large perception out there.
They do facilitation.
They facilitate.
They do
yeah,
facilitation.
They facilitate.
But they don't buy their tickets, that they don't give them
No. As a matter
allowances
of
or
fact,
anything.
Hajj is one of the pillars of Islam where you're supposed to go if you have the means.
Okay.
So yeah,
Thank you
but
for the
of course, there are some protocol. Like maybe officials, maybe some government officials.
And that's taken care of by government?
No, that's it. Like maybe you are an MP, out of your own funds, you may want to sponsor a constituent or something. They do that. And that's what sometimes make people think
it's coming from government.
But government, apart from maybe the subsidy that it may provide generally, but it doesn't.
So yeah, I mean, obviously this is good. Obviously, it's going to cut down on the expense the government makes.
Okay.
The greatest worry is those fans who go. The way our man Trump is behaving these days and the issues with immigration, we don't want our fans to go
and take
advantage and not return.
Okay.
If that is their idea, then the orientation must be right, because that's going to cause more damage to us in terms of our image and the country as a whole.
Diplomatic ties.
Than the funds that we're going to save from, not using public funds for them.
Tango, you take a bit of his time, but I'll still bring you in before I come to Prince. Past governments have been dealing with this. Fan travel, they call it. So somebody will be asking, is it a fair shift? We know that we are cutting down cost and all that.
Well, we always
like a tradition.
You'll always have to look at tradition. Antecedents are good, but you look at that antecedent and see whether it's serving you well or not. But it's very remarkable, this, if you like, directive or statement by the president, because he was the one who commissioned the Jammeh Commission in 2014.
Yes.
After the early exit of the Blasters. Yes. One of the things that Jammeh Commission was supposed to look into was about financial mismanagement and all those things. And they came out with a report. Mm-hmm. The recommendation, one of the recommendations of the Jammeh Commission was for us to say bye-bye to this whole idea of government, paying for supporters to go out there. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm sure at that time, after 2014, we didn't get to go to any World Cup after then, and then he exited. So now that he's come back, it is only appropriate that I think that he would give some oxygen to that particular recommendation. But certainly, I think that there are more pressing areas where we could actually channel our resources. If people want to go and support the theme, they should make their own arrangement. And interestingly, you would find Ghanaians all over the place. And the beauty of it is that when the African countries are playing, it matters not which African country you come from. They go out there in their numbers to support. And as Oscar said, one of the challenges when you have government officially sponsoring people to go is that when those people go and they don't come back, it adds to the, if you like, the profile of the country in terms of that. So if it is not official and people find their way there, you may not necessarily blame the government. But of course, the government can facilitate, create the atmosphere and for people to go. That's why I think through very prudent negotiations, you realize the American embassy have opened up the visa processing in order. But I support the fact that the government should not support people to go there. It's not a wise way of spending our money.
The entrepreneur, let's look at the figures. We hear $2 million. Is it $2 million?
I'm of the view that, listen, America, Canada, where they are playing this World Cup, we have a sizable population of Ghanaians there. If you are looking globally, where we have a lot of Ghanaians, America and Canada will be one of the biggest countries. So if government really want to mobilize support for these people, what they should do is to engage the Ghanaian community in their churches, the mosque, everywhere, and just rally them to just go and support the people. So your plane ticket, your accommodation, money for to keep these people, you keep all that money. It's about how you prioritize the things that
That's a good suggestion, but how to get to them and their willingness there, maybe the itinerary. There are so many factors at play here.
People love their football.
I'll give you an example.
They love their football.
We have just about 2 minutes to go.
When Ghana went to play England in a friendly, right, I was then the head of the BME network, Minority Network. We coordinated from our side. And other minority groups coordinated as well. So I think it's a very, very good suggestion where if you like, the missions can actually coordinate with the various Ghanaian associations and all those things and see how, if they need to give support, maybe that support that will have to be given from here, they could just use maybe a small aspect of that and then get those people and then rally.
I wanted to ask, just quickly, the 2,200,000, is it exaggeration? People think the figures are not exaggeration.
It's not. Okay. If you are traveling and you are buying tickets, you are going to accommodate them, and you have to even give them per them, like keep money to keep them.
Okay. So
internal transportation. The 2 million, it's not an exaggeration at all.
Thank you so much under pressure here. You know, we ran out of time. Thank you, Oscar Provincial.
As you say, we're under pressure. Let me just remind Ghanaians that
there's a pay-for thing that must go in a minute.
The Ghana Cricket Association is hosting, or Ghana is hosting, the World Cup T20 Africa Regional Qualifier B at the Achimota Oval from the 24th to the 29th of this month, which is just tomorrow. And we invite all Ghanaians, it's free, to come and watch cricket at a world-class level, and say welcome to our participating teams from Eswatini, from Malawi.
So there's support. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. It's been Headlines Holiday Edition, and we wish you all the best. Enjoy the day and keep praying for Mother Ghana, so things go well. I'm Kweku Van der Pelen. Keep watching.
From the roots up, touching base with Avalan for Avalan. This year, we return to the source, to the wisdom, the resilience, and the identity that shaped us. Sienna 2026 is being launched in whole Ghana, and this moment is more than just an event. We are touching base with Avalan so we can rise with Avalan. Because when the roots is strong, the whole tree stands tall. Yes, on March 28, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Join us in person at the University of Health and Allied Sciences, UHAS, or tap in live across all our social media platforms. In attendance will be our special guest of honor, Toby Afada, together with the Volta Regional Minister, Honorable James Gunu, and Dr. Archibald Lecha. The keynote speaker is His Excellency Gabriel Tanko Komiga Atukla, member of the Council of State. To welcome you will be Chairman Togbi Teprahodo, Togbi Fia Koku III, and Togbi Wusu Krakani III. They will be joined by other distinguished chiefs like Togbi Agbalom Agbotoko II and beautiful queen mothers and lawmakers from across Abalan. Entertainment will be led by our very own Serian Music and Togbi Oloko Joko. MC for the event is Afo Bernard Avalon. Make a date with us on March 28th at 10 a.m. sharp at the University of Health and Allied Sciences, UHAS, as we touch base with Everland for Everland. Siena 2026, preserving culture, inspiring generation. And remember, the Siena 2026 convention is brewing in the USA, Bethesda, Maryland, from September 3rd to 7th, 2026. Register now and be part of this big event. Let's rise. Nahola, Siena, helping build Everland.
Life, indeed, is full of surprises. And with Rand Lotto, you never know what's around the corner.